or Nagpur?
Sir, I'm from Nagpur, Maharashtra. I was born in Parvatipuram, Andhra Pradesh.
Oh,
But soon we shifted to Nagpur and I've been brought up in Nagpur.
tell me something about this year's budget. What are the salient features of the budget for this year by finance minister?
So the budget has a massive infrastructural push. There were around 4 lakh crores in the infrastructure sector, and in the rural sector, there were dairy development funds set up, and there were
Which is the sector which is getting the biggest push through this budget?
so in the infrastructural.
No, is it infrastructure or something else?
So it is agriculture is getting a massive push.
On what basis you say that?
So the Manrega, sorry sir, the NABARD in the NABARD there have been investments. There have been greater investments this year, and funds have been given up. And also,
How much percentage increase in agriculture sector from last year?
I don't have any idea about the percentage increase.
But sectoral allocation, the highest allocation is for infrastructure or for agriculture?
So I don't know about how high it is, but I know that around 3,96,000 crores they were invested, are planning to be invested in the infrastructure sector.
Which are the areas in infrastructure which will get these investments or these allocations?
So in the railways, now that the budget has been clubbed in the railways and also in the transportation sector for the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, again 19,000 crores.
So is it because the railways have been included in this year's budget, that's why infrastructure has got such a big allocation?
Yes, so probably if we sum it up, then if we sum it up, then we'll have a greater allocation since they are being clubbed.
Archit,
Yes.
can you tell me something about the problems pertaining to Nagaland? What is this problem of insurgency we keep on reading about?
So in Nagaland, there are various tribal groups. It is a melting pot of different ethnicities, and there is a group NSCN, Naga Socialist Council of Nagaland, Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland,
Okay.
and it plans for a greater Nagaland as such. There are some areas in Manipur also which have significant amount of Naga tribes. So they want autonomy autonomy, and also they want a greater Nagaland for themselves.
So what is the progress made in that?
So we had a framework agreement done by the center and the NSCN IM, and the details of which are not public as such, but the framework agreement, as the newspaper reports say, the framework agreement calls that there has been a peace truce and they have accepted.
Yes, but there's something in the papers about Buiva having gone and told the people in his camp that the government has agreed to the concept of a greater Nagaland. Did you read about that?
So yes, I did read just 2 days ago about
2 days back.
yes.
And
about-
then as a consequence there have been disturbances in Assam. So what is this concept of greater Nagaland? Which you said Manipur, some areas of Manipur,
Yes.
and which other state?
So I don't know about the exact geographical area, but
Basically-
Manipur, because of we had the blockade right now for the same reasons.
They have the hill districts of Manipur and of course certain sections, portions of Assam,
Assam.
and Arunachal Pradesh. That is the demand for the greater Nagaland.
Yes.
Now, tell me, in Manipur, there is this lady called Airong Sharmila,
Yes.
and she had been agitating for the last so many years. What was this? What was she demanding?
She was demanding repeal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which is
So what
called-
exactly is this? What kind of power does it bestow to the armed forces?
So she was mainly demanding the repeal of the law for the kind of impunity the act gives.
So what is the power which they get? That's what I'm asking. The act, what power does it give to the armed forces?
So, for example, if any armed force personnel, if he can shoot or he can open fire on a presumed basis that they are insurgents or maybe they are terrorists, and he won't be
See, there is no impunity on the power to shoot and kill. That is, it's always in self-defense. Basically, what the act does is that it gives you the same powers that the police has of search and seizure and arrest without a warrant. That is primarily it. This no act can give you a power to shoot and kill. But in the event of action having taken place and somebody is shot dead, then of course they cannot be prosecuted without the prior approval of the government. It's not that they have a complete immunity.
Yes.
Now tell me, what is this? Bodos have been demanding a state in Assam.
Yes.
But there is a similar demand for a state in Darjeeling. There is a similar demand for statehood in Bundelkhand in the UP. There are certain parts of Maharashtra and Karnataka.
Yes.
So what is your view on this? Should we go in for more states or should there be some criteria?
So there has to be a criteria. We can't keep on making more states, because suppose we make a state, there will be people in that region, in that state itself, who will demand for another state. So there has to be a specific criteria, and we had the linguistic criteria on which the states were created. And apart from that, the major
Linguistic criteria is the bane of all our problems, isn't it? It is because of the linguistic criteria that all these demands continue to be made. Bodos say that we are a linguistic group, so we want a state. The Gurkhas say that we are a linguistic group, they want a state. That is the problem. In any case, tell me, let me ask you something else. Vijay Mallya has gone to the UK and he owes the money to the banks. How much money does he owe them?
So I don't know exactly if the permit had taken
Take
place.
a guess.
So around 6,000 crores.
Yeah, 9,000, right? Well, 6,000 plus then the interest and all. So what have we done? There is a procedure which we have set into motion to get him back. What is that called?
So we have there's a mutual legal treaty.
Yeah, but what is that called?
Extradition.
Extradition.
Yes, sir.
So have we moved for extradition yet or not?
Yes, sir. We have moved, and also I just read in the newspapers that we have got the approval from the United Kingdom that he will be extradited. Just
You didn't read the thing properly. All they have said is that the UK has set into motion our request, which means the government has passed on the thing to the concerned courts. So it's a long drawn procedure for that. Okay, thank you.
Can you tell me what are the emergency powers under the Constitution?
so emergency powers to proclaim emergency. So like we have different kind of emergencies provided for in the Constitution. The national emergency, we have the presidential, the constitutional emergency, and also the financial emergency. And the national emergency is
What is Article 356?
So Article 356 gives mandate to the president to have a presidential rule in a state when the state fails in where there is a failure of constitutional machinery in the state.
When does he do that? Does he need any report, or can he do it otherwise also?
No, sir. He does it on the report of the governor
And not otherwise? If the governor doesn't send the report?
No, sir. He can take into. So I think the government.
Are there legislative control against misuse of this?
Yes, sir. Like if there is a presidential emergency, presidential rule in the
It has to
state,
be placed.
it has to be placed in the parliament. And
What is judicial review?
so judicial review in our constitution, it means that any law as such which the parliament passes, it has to go through the judiciary has the power to take into consideration the aspects of the law and see if it fits into our constitutional principles and the basic structure.
Does it take that suo motu? Any law passed by the parliament, it goes to the president signs it, and then it goes to the judiciary,
No, sir. Generally, if somebody appeals or
which is empowered to scrutinize it on the touchstone of what?
so on the basic principles of the constitution.
There was a judgment recently, not that recent, but on a section in the IT Act. What was it?
So,
It
like
was quashed.
yes, it was 1 year ago.
Yeah.
The judiciary repealed the section 66A of the IT Act,
You don't say repeal, it's was.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Six-
The judiciary, as far as I remember, the judiciary commented that there is a clear difference between dissent, advocacy, and incitement, and hence the IP and the section 66A of the IT Act, it gives that.
Are you confused with sedition?
No, sir.
Okay.
It said that in the same judgment, in the Shreya Singhal case, it said that section 66A of the IT Act, it curbs the freedom of expression and speech of the people, and hence it is draconian.
On what article is freedom of speech and expression guaranteed?
So it is guaranteed on Article 19.
Okay, are there no restrictions?
So there are around
Don't
8
we
or,
have a law on defamation?
so there are 8 or 9 restrictions. There are 8 or 9
Okay, then
restrictions.
what was the problem with 66A?
So in 66A, like if I can give you an example,
Yes.
in Maharashtra itself, when Balasaheb Thackeray ji died, two girls commented on Facebook.
That was misuse. Can misuse be a ground to quash the law?
No, so misuse can definitely be not a ground to quash the law. But what happened was there was rampant misuse of this law.
Why? I am just coming to you. Come to the point. Why there was misuse?
Because of the discretion given to the police
The
officer.
definition was very vague, and
Yes.
even annoyance was an offence. Causing annoyance through your speech was an offence.
Yeah, it was very subjective. Yes.
Okay. Now, what is Article 32?
So Article 32 gives power. Article 32 gives power to the people to come to courts if their fundamental rights are violated.
Yes. It's directly approach the courts, writing judicial. Can you now tell me what are fundamental duties? Do we need it? Do they serve any purpose? Do we need an enforcement mechanism, or it's good as it is?
So fundamental duties are mentioned in Article 51A of the Constitution. It was amended. The Constitution was amended, and they were put in there. And we definitely need them as such because they give the citizens at the same time citizens have fundamental rights. They also have some duties which they should, as a part of being a citizen of this nation, and they are not judicially enforceable. And as such, also we should not make them enforceable because then when we make such things enforceable, then citizens tend to resent, and it is best when they do it voluntarily.
Okay. Just the last one. Can you recall any of those fundamental duties?
Yes, sir. Like the first fundamental duty is to abide by the Constitution and its ideals, and to respect the freedom, the national anthem, and the freedom fighters.
Okay.
There is a lot of controversy these days about EVMs.
Yes, sir.
What is the stand of the Election Commission on the EVMs?
So the Election Commission is very clear in its stand regarding the EVM, and it has said that it has duly checked, and the EVM and the voting as such when it happens to EVM, there are various measures which are put in place so that the EVMs cannot be tampered anyhow. And also it has said that technically, when we see technically, the EVMs of India are different from the EVMs of other countries. When people say that other countries have not resorted to EVMs, and if they have resorted to EVMs, they have withdrawn it. So the Election Commission says that our EVMs are different from theirs, and we reject that, and they rejected all the complaints.
So that is as far as the technical aspect of it, EVMs go. What is their stand about further transparency?
So the Supreme Court mandated the Election Commission to have VVPATs in all the EVM, which are voter verified paper audit trails. Suppose a voter votes, a slip will come out and it will show the vote to the voter, and then it will go down in the ballot box. So in case of any dispute afterwards, the parties can call for counting of the ballot votes.
So you don't think in the present situation, till the VVPAT is in place, a ballot paper is more transparent?
No, sir, definitely not. Because so ballot, it is as such there is no proof that EVMs can be tampered.
No, I'm saying the transparency, the voter verified audit trail is not there in position at present.
Yes, sir.
till it comes to be in possession and all the equipment is in possession, don't you think ballot papers would be a safer, a more transparent method?
So when ballot papers were there, we could see it, booth capturing would happen, and it is very easy if ballot papers are there to capture booth, because like in the present situation of EVMs, only 5 votes can be casted in a minute. So even if somebody does booth capturing in a hour, it can
Correct.
just.
Okay. Now, name me 2 of the prominent mathematical institutes in the country. You did mathematics, is it not?
So I did not do mathematics. Mathematics was my
Of an option paper, it's a very risky option you took. So, which are the 2 institutes which are, do you know any 2 institutions in the country which are outstanding in contributing to mathematics? Research in mathematics?
So I know that research in mathematics is done in various institutes, but particularly mathematical research.
You have not heard of the Mathematical Institute, Raman Institute, Mathematical Institute in Chennai?
No, I have heard about it.
Chennai is doing exclusively research on that, and IIC also.
Yes, ISC.
You've given, although you've given IFS as your third preference, I just wanted to ask you what you know about the CPEC. What do you think the CPEC's theme?
So the CPEC is a China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It plans to connect from Kashgar to Gwadar. There is a infrastructure and energy corridor, and there is a massive investments of around $46 billion. And the theme probably for China, it is like an element of its broader One Belt initiative. And also China wants to have
One belt, one road.
Yes,
Isn't it?
Yes.
Why the 2 terms? Why one belt, one road?
So
Anyway, carry on. You were saying?
China wants to have a port base, nearby port base for greater trade and integration with the world. So linking it with the Gwadar port, China, and when it passes through the Pakistan, the country of Pakistan, it also will help the Pakistani economy.
What is the India's objection to that at present?
So
As it
India,
stands now.
so India objects to the CPEC because of the sovereignty issues, and it passes.
What is the sovereignty issue? Briefly.
So it passes through that area. It passes through that area of Jammu and Kashmir, which is an integral part of India as such, but which is controlled by Pakistan right now. So it would make a
What
virtual
is the
wall.
place?
So it is Gilgit-Baltistan.
What is the status of that? Is it the same as POK?
So
Vis-a-vis India?
vis-a-vis India as such, we don't control POK as well as Gilgit-Baltistan. But in Pakistan, the status of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan are a bit different.
Are different. So as far as India's claim of sovereignty claim is it the same in Gilgit-Baltistan and POK? Is it the same historical factors applying both?
So India
Or
considers.
does the instrument of accession, make it more precise, does the instrument of accession show a difference between the POK area and the Gilgit-Baltistan?
So India considers the whole of Jammu and Kashmir to be an integral part of India. So I don't think India would have different claims.
Virendra, we went ahead with the policy of demonetization. You are aware of that?
Yes.
When was it introduced?
So it was introduced on the 8th of November 2006.
8th of November. Was it the first time that we introduced demonetization, or earlier also we had?
So earlier also we had demonetization.
When was it?
So in 1978 or
And what
around
currency was, what currency
So
denomination was demonetized?
the 10,000 rupee note was demonetized.
In the present exercise, how much money was sucked out of the system, demonetized?
So around 86% of the cash.
And in absolute terms, how much it amounts to?
So it amounts to around 15 lakh crores.
15 point something. Okay. Now that the exercise is more or less complete, money has to be remonetized, right?
Yes.
How much money has been remonetized? RBI has been giving some figures. So this is not the final figure, but
Yes. So around 11 lakh crores have been
Slightly more than
demonetized,
that.
but not the full amount.
okay. It's more than 11 crores. Anyway, 11 lakh crores. Remonetization has also given rise to some certain kind of difficulties for the banking sector. Are you aware of that? What what can be the effect on the banking sector?
So difficulties due to remonetization.
Remonetization, the process of remonetization, 11 lakh crores or 1 lakh, 12 lakh crores, whatever is the, that has given rise to certain kind of problems for the banking sector. Any idea what
So
I
I know about the logistical problems for the banking sector, but not as such.
No, it's not logistical. It's about money supply, right? There was a conference of the bankers, I think, very recently, which is held, and finance ministry is also involved with that process. Any idea what kind of problems might be coming? Excess of liquidity, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you tackle the problem of excess liquidity in the system? And what are the symptoms? How do you know that there is a problem of excess liquidity?
So excess of liquidity we can gauge it by the inflation indexes we
And
have.
are there any symptoms or are there any signals about higher inflation? Recently, the price data was released.
Yes.
Inflation, how do you measure?
So we measure by different indexes. We have the
Consumer price index and the wholesale price
wholesale
index.
price.
What has been the latest trend of consumer price index and WPI?
So the WPI recently shot up a bit. It was at in the past 1 year it was very low. It has recently shot up.
It is shot up, and what is the rate of WPI now? It is more than 6%,
Yes, sir.
6.5, which is the highest in 39 months,
Yes,
right?
yes, sir.
Therefore, there is a problem of, I mean, it is apprehended that
Due to remonetization
yes, so there is an attempt being made to,
of the inflation.
yes, to have a control on the liquidity. Now, there are different methods available with the bank, with the monetary authorities for
Yes.
checking the liquidity. You are aware of SLR?
Yes, the statutory liquidity ratio.
That is one of the methods. What is SLR?
So, it means that the banks they should have a minimum amount as the SLR rate. They should have a minimum amount in the banks compared. They can't lend all of the money in the market. They should have a minimum
So
amount.
that can put a check on the liquidity availability, right?
Yes, we can increase this.
Now a different question. You are following what is happening in USA,
Yes,
President Trump.
yes.
What is your take on what are things that he has already initiated or he is in the process of initiating certain changes?
So,
What impact it is likely to have on the world?
So President Trump has a policy of protectionism, and his policy of America first gives concerns for the globalization wave which we have gone through.
It is likely to adversely affect the globalization process.
So I would not say it would adversely affect, but yes, there are some concerns, and there is a lot of uncertainty and unpredictability as such that what would happen, because we already have rules and mechanisms in place. So and America as such has governed the rules right now. America has been that country which is in the most prominent phase of
Okay,
globalization.
last question. You have heard of Obamacare?
Yes, sir.
Why is it in the news and has anything happened on that?
So Obamacare was a healthcare bill, insurance bill by President Obama, and President Trump promised to repeal it. But
What is the latest on that?
so yesterday I saw in the news that the House did not pass the motion to repeal it.
So that's a setback to.
For the President Trump, it's a
It did not pass or they withdrew it because they didn't have, they expected that it will not be passed. Okay, so that is the end of your mock interview. How do you think you have performed?
not very good, but and not.
Yeah, where do you find the deficiency?
So in the particularities, like when I talked about Vijay Mallya's extradition, I should know about the inner details, the correct details of it.
Okay, so general information you are very good in that. You have, but specifics you are lacking. Even about budget when you are asked. And not many questions have been asked about the specific, going deep into those issues. But about economic issues, you have to be You read any newspaper?
So I read the Hindu, the Indian Express and the Business Standard.
But read one of the economic papers also, like Financial Express or Business Standard or Economic Times. One of that will give you a fairly good idea about the current economic issues. And it also gives some of the articles come which give background of various issues. So you can. We didn't ask much about the initiatives taken by the government regarding, women issues or about investments, FDI, but you must be clear about those figures, how much of FDI has come, how much of FDI has come,
Yes.
what are the areas in which investments are made or at least promised.
Yes.
Some agreements, some figures always come every day. You have foreign service also as one of the options. So about foreign affairs, you were asked about China,
Yes.
but there could be other issues like Indus Water Treaty which has come up nowadays, a lot of discussion. Similarly, India's initiatives to counter China's effort to have influence in this region.
Yes, sir.
Those things you should cover. Your interview is on 18th, so there is still a lot of time. You can go ahead with your preparation. And if you feel you can come back to us after about 10 days or 2 weeks, then we can further see if there are any deficiencies. We'll try to advise you how to improve them. But be very particular about getting facts right. So normal practice is that you take clippings from the newspaper, keep them with you, revise them whenever you have time, because reading once will not be enough. You tend to forget, so keep on revising and try to remember some of the important figures, factual information, especially about budget, what are the sectoral allocations, agriculture, infrastructure, defense, and also specific projects like 100 I was mentioned, so those also, and how it compares with last year's allocation, where it has gone up or gone down. That will show whether government gives more importance to those schemes or not. Okay? Thank you. Wish you all the